Accountability. I've always believed that it's really important that we make players accountable. We hold them accountable. So when we set goals, when they set goals, that we hold them accountable to their effort, the focus, the habits, the daily actions that are required to achieve those goals. And obviously we want to make sure that we're holding them accountable for performance-based goals, not always result-based, because the outcome-based stuff, it's a little bit more difficult to control. So it's more about performance, effort, habits, daily standards, their actions, holding them accountable to, are they doing the necessary things to achieve their goals? Are they focusing enough on their priorities? And I think too often players don't realize who the person that's going to make them the best player they can possibly be really is. And it comes down to the fact that the one person that's going to make a player the best that they can possibly be, it's them themselves. Because yes, coaches can help a great deal. Parents, teachers, mentors, different influences that you have can certainly be very impactful and helpful in your journey. But ultimately, the person that's going to make the biggest difference to you is you. And I think that too often, parents, coaches, we don't hold our players accountable enough to that reality. We unfortunately live in a world these days where when young kids do things wrong, the first place everyone wants to look is, well, it's the teacher's fault, or the coach isn't doing a good job. And I think we have to get back to putting a little bit more responsibility and accountability on the players themselves. And there's obviously different ways to do that, but for me, I've always found that it's just really important to set high standards, try to make sure that the players are living up to those standards. And again, it's not about results, it's about performance-based effort, attitude, things like commitment levels, the daily routines, the daily habits, those small, let's say, process-based things that we've put them in place, we've said they're important, so let's hold them accountable. Let's make sure that they're being done. And let's make sure that the players are really ultimately taking responsibility for their own tennis, their own journey, and their own development. And yes, they're being guided, they're being supported, but sometimes a lot of these young kids, they fall into this situation where they just become too robotic. They just do what the coach tells them to do or what their parents tell them to do, and they don't think enough for themselves, and that they don't really understand or are not aware of actually how important it is that they're taking that responsibility on themselves. And the only way that we're going to teach them or help them to realize that and do a better job of that is to hold them accountable. So I challenge you as players to hold yourselves more accountable, challenge coaches to hold your players more accountable, and parents, I challenge you to hold your kids accountable before you start having a crack at the coaches or the teachers or the different things. Let's make sure that the players themselves are taking responsibility for the things that are within their control and that they should be taking responsibility for.